Good afternoon, grade 9. So this is your English teacher, Ma'am Astrea. Now we are going to talk about a story. We will explore a story that looks simple at first glance, a peaceful village and a cheerful gathering. But as we go on, you will discover that this story, The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, hides something much deeper. It is about how people follow traditions and how they conform to society. And what happens when morality is replaced by routine? Now, let's talk about first who is Shirley Jackson. So, this is Shirley Jackson. She's the one who wrote the story entitled The Lottery. Okay, Shirley Jackson was born in 1916 in San Francisco, California. She was known for dark and thought-provoking stories that often reveal the hidden fears and cruelty in everyday life. So, her short story, The Lottery, which is the story that we're going to talk about later, is published in 1914 in the New Yorker. So, it became one of the most controversial pieces in American literature. Through writing, she explored the dark side of human nature, showing how ordinary people can do horrifying things when following tradition. Now, let's have a quick story background about the story The Lottery. So, the story was published after World War II in 1948. So, it is during time when people were recovering from the horrors of a war after World War II. So, at first, readers were shocked by the story's disturbing message or theme because it takes place in a small, peaceful village where people gather every year to hold a lottery. To them, it is just a harmless tradition, but as we will see later, it carries a much darker meaning. Okay? Now, without further ado, let's talk about the story The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, a story of tradition, conformity, and reflection. Okay, let's begin with the part 1. A bright morning in the village. Let's read the story first. So, it was a bright and sunny morning in a small village. The flowers were blooming and the grass was green. The people were gathering in the town square for an event that happened every year, which is what's so called the lottery. So, children came first, laughing and picking up small stones. The men soon followed, talking about farming. The women arrived next, chatting quietly as they joined their families. Everyone seemed calm and happy. Okay, so let's go back to the first slide. So, as stated here, the story begins on a bright and sunny morning. The flowers are blooming, the grass was green, and the villagers are gathered in the town square for the annual lottery. So, as I say, children came first, laughing and picking up small stones. The men followed, talking about farming their crops, while women arrived last, chatting quietly. Everything seems calm. Everything seems calm and cheerful and ordinary, like any normal day. But Jackson, or the author, wants us to feel comfortable before revealing something unexpected. Okay? Now let's dive in with the part 2. To the part 2. The drawing begins. So, in the center of the square stood a black wooden box. So this is the black wooden box. It was old and worn out. Inside the box were small slips of paper. Mr. Summers, the man in charge of community events, brought the box and called out the names of each family. Mr. Graves, the postmaster, helped him. So, here, this is the old black wooden box. So, inside this are small slips of paper, one for each family. So this box is managed by Mr. Summers, the man in charge of community events, and he assisted by Mr. Graves, the postmaster. The box itself, look at this box, it is old and worn out, right? But no one dares to replace it. Huh? It has been used for as long as anyone can remember, which is a symbol of how deeply rooted and unquestioned this tradition has become. And now, let's focus on part 3, the marked paper. Each family sent one person to draw a paper from the box. No one was told what would happen yet. It was just tradition. People joked nervously but looked tense. When Mr. Hutchinson drew his paper, his wife, Tessie Hutchinson, laughed, saying she almost forgot it was lottery day. So when Mr. Summer calls out the family names, each family sends one representative to draw a slip of paper from the box. So the crowd is quiet, and even though the people smile or make jokes, there is tension in the air. So Tessie Hutchinson arrives late, the wife of Mr. Hutchinson, laughing and saying she almost forgot it was lottery day. The villagers draw their papers in silence, holding onto them tightly, waiting for the signal to open them. Okay, let's focus. Let's move on to the next part. Okay. After every family drew, Mr. Summers asked them to open their papers. Everyone opened their paper and saw that Mr. Hutchinson's had a black dot on it. Okay. Tessie shouted that it wasn't fair and that they did not give her husband enough time to pick it. But the crowd did not listen. So when everyone is told to open their slips, the crowd slowly realizes that one paper is marked with a black dot. Okay? Among all the papers, one paper only marked with black dot. So that paper picked by Mr. Hutchinson. So Tessie, his wife, immediately protested, shouting that it wasn't fair. No? It wasn't fair and that her husband did not give enough time to choose properly. So instead, an uneasy silence filled the air. The villagers know what comes next. Okay. Let's move on. Second row. Okay. Then the family of Mr. Hutchinson's, Bill, Tessie, and their children had to draw again, one by one. So their family alone. When Tessie opened her slip, it had the black dot. She was chosen. Okay, so Mr. Summers announces that the Hutchinson's family alone will draw again, one slip for each member. So Bill, Tessie, and their children come forward. They each take a paper. When they open them, Tessie's slip has the black dot, just like this in the picture. Now everyone know what it means, no? The villagers starts to move quietly but surely, preparing what comes next. So when you pick the black dot, it means that you were chosen for that tradition, for the villagers' tradition. Let's know what's next. Okay, we are now in the terrifying ending. Let's read. Everyone stepped back. the villagers, even the children, picked up the stones they had gathered earlier. Tessie screamed, "It isn't fair, it isn't right," as they are surrounded her. So, soon, the most horrifying part begins. So, the villagers, even the children, pick up stones. Look at this picture. Focus on this picture. So, they had gathered earlier. Tessie screams, "It isn't fair, it isn't right." But no one stops. They surround her and begin to throw the stones. When it's over, the villagers, soon the stones were thrown and the lottery was over. The villagers went back to their daily lives as if nothing had happened. Okay, no? When it's over, the villagers simply go back to their daily routines if nothing had happened. The annual lottery has been completed and the tradition here in the villagers continues. Okay. Now, let us explore the themes and symbolism of the story. So first, we have tradition versus morality. So, it shows how people can follow customs without asking if they are right or wrong, just like in the story. And second, conformity. It shows how individuals feel pressured to do what everyone else does, even when it's cruel. Just like what happened in the story. And third, violence in society. No? Jackson, or the author of the story, reveals that evil can hide behind normal routines. No? At first, we thought that it is just a simple and peaceful village, but they have tradition like that, a horrifying tradition. And lastly, the black box symbolizes blind obedience, okay, to outdated practices that people follow simply because they always have. Now, what are the moral lessons of the story? So from the story, we learn to question harmful traditions and not just accept things because they have always been done that way. And we must think critically before following others and have the courage to stand up against what is wrong. And even if we are alone, that's the real test of character. Now, for you to know if you truly understand the story, let us reflect, answer these 5 questions on your notebook. Okay, before we end this discussion, remember that as Jiddu Krishnamurti said, tradition becomes our security, and when the mind is secure, it is in decay. Okay, the lottery reminds us that change begins when we question blind obedience. Okay, that's it. That would be all for today. Thank you for listening, and remember, real learning starts with courage and